Hello, internet listeners, or should I say, is this some kind of Christmas joke? Welcome to the Caged Men podcast. My name is Cody Bridges, and I am trapped in a prison of my own making. I have decided to watch every single movie that Nicolas Cage has acted in, and then to do a little bit of a recap and some science for you to find out the answer to the question, are Nicolas Cage movies good? I am not here alone. Today I am joined by my cellmate, Kyle. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello. So I'm Kyle Bridges. I am a writer, content creator. I'm a Twitch streamer. I am born of the internet, shaped and molded by it, and I am very happy to be here.
I'm glad to hear that. So this is the first episode, of course. So there's going to be a little bit of preamble here
Right.
before we get into the meat of what today is about. So I am going to let everyone know what's going on so that you're not confused or scared. There are, as of today, 109 feature-length movies that feature Nicolas Cage in some capacity. There are some movies that have him uncredited, which I have not counted on this list, or where he has a cameo where he either has only one line or doesn't speak. That is not counted. There are
So
109 movies. So just to
no
get this out,
werewolf women of the SS, right? We're not doing that. Where he's
no,
Fu Manchu.
no Werewolf Women of the SS. No, The Flash, where he appears for like 45 seconds as mocap Superman. And there's another movie from way earlier in his career where he's like a guy in Corvette. That's not on this list.
Okay.
Um, in order to find a way to watch these movies, I wanted to do something creative. I could have watched them chronologically and gotten sort of a Nick Cage timeline, sort of a Nick Cage, like evolutionary experience. We could have watched them in like order from bad to good or from good to bad, which would, in my opinion, have been a slog, where eventually we would have either broken through to good movies or eventually plummeted into terrible movies. But I decided to do something else. So I made a list of 109 Nick Cage movies, and I put them in the order they are in on Rotten Tomatoes.
Right.
So
Okay.
from the top Nick Cage movie, which is I think somewhere in the 98 or 98% fresh, all the way down to his two or three movies that are zero.
Zeros.
That means now for anyone who's not familiar with Rotten Tomatoes, these are not a like rating of like out of stars is not how their percentage works. Percentages in Rotten Tomatoes represent that's the percent of people who gave the movie a favorable review. So a 99 is not an almost perfect movie. It just means almost everybody thought it was good enough. A zero does mean that no one thought this movie was worth anything.
I
And
find
there
that
are
hard to believe that there are zeros in
on
the
a
Nicolas
Nicolas Cage
Cage.
movie list.
I absolutely yes.
Oh, okay. You're allowed to have that feeling, and I'm not going to stop you from having it. Um, and so what I decided to do was I made this list, and we have found the median Cage movie. This is the middlemost Nicolas Cage movie that you can watch. Um, the median Cage movie has a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 53%. And it is the movie of topic today. It is called The Family Man. The Family Man came out in the year 2000. It stars Nicolas Cage and opposite him, Tia Leoni. Jeremy Piven is in it as well as a ton of character actors that you'll recognize from sitcoms. And it is directed by Brett Ratner,
Ugh,
which
sorry.
is too bad. Truly a terrible, terrible way to start this whole endeavor.
I just, because we're brothers and we've talked about this stuff before. I have my issue with Brett Ratner is, for one, I don't think he's great. He's not a bad director. I don't think he's a good one though. And I'm always like a little offended about Brett Ratner because I was a big I listened to director commentaries on DVDs guy, and I had nothing better to do. I watched the director's commentary from the third X-Men movie, which is also not a great movie. But there's a character in the X-Men, if you're not a comic book person, named Rogue, who is unable to physically touch people. Her superpower is she can like kill people by touching them. Like she absorbs people's life forces, which is a pretty tragic character trait that you can't
Yes.
be physically touched. And Brett Ratner, in his very the infinite pools of wisdom that he draws from, during the commentary went, yeah, and like Rogue can't bone, so that sucks. And it didn't feel like a joke. And I was so like turned off by that I turned the movie off, and like I never picked it up again. So
Luckily, this movie. Well, I don't know. Let's get into that a little bit more later. I want to start with something that I think is fun: a survey. I am a student of psychology. Surveys are how we test things and how whether people are mentally sound or not. So this is going to where I'm going to collect some data from all my guests that I have. Since it's your first time on, you have 3 questions to answer instead.
okay.
It's not going to be too hard. So these are on a scale from 1 to 7. So 1 being I completely disagree with this statement, 7 being I completely agree with this statement. 4 is the exact middle where you're saying, this doesn't affect, I feel neither way, one way or the other, with gradations. I like a 7-point scale. That's my feeling. So you're just going to give me a number from 1 to 7 based on how much you agree with these statements. Okay. Nick Cage is an actor I like.
That's a full 7 for me.
Insane. Sorry, I shouldn't say
I
that.
love Nicolas Cage. I love I always find something to appreciate about a Nicolas Cage performance. So that's a 7 for me, dog.
Okay. 2. Nick Cage makes mostly good movies. This is a different statement.
Now, what metric are we using for good?
This is
entertaining.
This is personal. This is on your scale.
I always find him entertaining. However, I can recognize that perhaps the overall quality of the piece might not be completely held up by the quality of his performance in it. So I'll give that a 5 out of 7.
And then the last one, which this will be the question I ask if you come back. I'll ask you this question again, and we're gonna chart how your feelings change.
Okay.
So this is
cool.
important. This is probably the most important one. In the light of the most recent Nick Cage film I watched, so this one, the one we watched for the podcast, I want to watch more Nicolas Cage films.
The 7. Yeah.
7. So
absolutely.
The Family Man specifically.
He has I will definitely get into it. There are things about this movie that I have some opinions about. I don't think he's bad in this movie at all. I think there's some interesting choices that he makes. But I don't think he does a bad job.
Yeah. Well, let's powwow on that. Let's get to that part of the movie here. So I'm just going to give like the sort of back of the box description here. So in this movie, Nick Cage plays Jack Campbell.
Yes.
Jack Campbell has a lavish, fast-paced lifestyle that changes one Christmas night when he stumbles into a grocery store holdup and disarms the gunman. The next morning, he wakes up in bed, lying next to Kate, the college sweetheart that he left in order to further his career.
Yes.
And that is That's the movie. So we're dealing with, let's call it in terms of, we're gamers, you and I,
Yeah,
to
we
make
we
this
we've been known to pick up a controller now and then. Yeah.
to make this even more of a white guys in their 30s podcast. We both have beards. We both play video games. If
I
you
do
like
it.
it, you
Yeah.
like it. Sorry,
I
folks.
I stream on Twitch even. Yeah, it's pretty
So this is in the terms of we would call a game like a rogue-like or a Souls-like. This is a Wonderful Life like, or
yeah.
or a Christmas Carol like. It's a little bit both.
It
It
kind of
has
does
some
both, but
it has some
doesn't do
Groundhog
either
Day.
as well. Like
It's
actually the
Twilight
fact
Zone like.
you saying that if I might, could I share with you my favorite review blurb that I read for this movie?
Oh yeah, I didn't even look those up.
I
Oh
know.
yeah.
Oh, I did. So my very favorite, um I was looking through the reviews and I saw this blurb taken from the New York Post.
Mm.
The Family Man is mostly a reminder of better movies in this genre. And you saying, like, at the beginning you're talking about how this is like statistically the middlest Nicolas Cage movie. This is absolutely like the most middle movie I maybe have ever watched, because
I
for like everything that happened where I was like, oh, I like that. There was another thing that just came around almost immediately where I was like, oh, okay. And it was a really like,
You
um,
broke even.
I broke even. Yeah, let's say that I broke even. Um, First thing about this movie, right out the gate, they the opening scene is our hero getting into the argument with his
Quote
girlfriend. Not an argument.
quote fingers hero.
Yeah. And it's them at the airport, and he's like, I have to go to London for this for this opportunity, and she doesn't want him to go. And I was watching this and I'm like, how old are they supposed to be? Because
Oh
we
yeah.
have come a long way in de-aging actors for flashback sequences. And like Nicolas Cage is, I think, maybe supposed to be in his
22.
early 20s, and
Yeah.
he's got his hairline is still like the Nicolas Cage hairline. And like
The way they
my very
de-aged
first
them.
note is, how old are they supposed to be? So I had to look it up because I don't remember if it told me or not at the beginning of the movie what year it is. But it's supposed to be in 1987.
Yes. I did check that also because it says 13 years later, and then it sets it as present day New York when the movie came out in 2000. So they de-aged them 13 years by they put Nicolas Cage in a big sweater and they put Tia Leoni in a wig.
Yeah.
That was all they did. Like
And I was like,
no,
okay.
it was not, mo-capped Mark Hamill fake face like the Mandalorian
Like the
had. No,
Mandalorian.
this is just they were just like Nicolas Cage pretty much has always looked like this. Don't worry about it.
Um,
I have a quote I pulled from that scene, which was the first moment where I had to pause the movie and say, "Huh?" Which was where they're having their talk about he's going to leave for London for his big internship. She's going to go to law school, and she's all worried that something terrible is going to happen. And first he says, "Is the plane going to crash?" Like she knows, like she's a psychic. And she goes, "No, I just feel like I'm never going to see you again." And he gets in close and he says, "Nobody ever thinks clearly at the airport." Which, does that mean anything?
no, I don't think that
What
means
the hell?
anything.
That's not a saying either. That's not like a thing. I was like, okay, so that's nothing. That's crazy.
It's
I
weird.
also I also loved the very pre 9/11 airport. Like this is a movie that was made before 9/11, but they also 13 years earlier. So she was just by the gate. She was ready. She could have walked on the plane
Oh yeah,
too.
I definitely had the pre 9/11 jump scare when it shows the skyline.
Oh yeah, like, oh,
Whoa,
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 wait.
that we
I
get now,
also
where like you see a movie where it takes place in New York and like there they are, and you're like, oh shit.
Of course, we move on.
Yeah.
Nick Cage, she says this is important. She says about all this stuff that he thinks that it's going to make their life better, and she says our life is perfect, and she says I choose us, and I want you to store that in your memory bank. Don't forget that she
Don't
said
worry. Don't worry. I remember.
She says, I choose us. And then we cut to, obviously, Nicolas Cage went away and moved on because they were
Yes.
college. So he 13 years later, he's very rich. He wakes up in bed with a new woman who says nice to meet you when she leaves. Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah, super good. This was my first real jump scare of the movie was as the credits are rolling. First of all, Nicolas Cage starts scream shouting opera, so badly, so scarily, so upsettingly.
Yeah, but this was okay. When I was like this movie, it was a journey because there were dips and then I would get elevated. Okay, so my first dip was this flashback because I was like, okay, they look really old. This dialogue is weird. Uh-oh. And then he starts screaming opera in his little black underpants. And I was like, there he is. There's my baby boy. There's my good, sweet baby boy.
Tiny black underpants.
Really just the smallest black underwear that they could find for him.
Crazy.
If I might, another factoid is they were trying to court Nicolas Cage for this movie. And he was kind of didn't want to make like a sentimental, this movie's kind of, it's like a holiday heartstring movie.
Not enough cocaine and backflips in it for him.
When they did another pass at the script where they changed what his character like wears and like what kind of watches he wears and suits he wears, and then they sent it back to Nicolas Cage, and Nicolas Cage was like, oh my god, this guy is just like me. So I have to believe that these are the underwear that Nicolas Cage wears in his everyday life.
That's his
brand. Yeah. His little black underwear.
So it sounds like you're pretty researched in the movie. So this part did not surprise you at all, which was when the words "score by Danny Elfman" came up on the screen.
How I did this was I watched the movie and then I read about it more. Mm-hmm. The Danny Elfman jump scare I found interesting because they're like, I don't know if it's the version I watched. Maybe you can confirm this with me because I didn't like have a control experiment. Sure. There are parts with no score at all, and it's quiet and eerie.
It's this movie.
There's a scene near the end of the movie with no score at all, and it's kind of tense and weird.
There is a note I put in later that said the Elfman score gives this movie a horror feel instead of a feel-good feel.
Yeah, it does.
It's like there are parts that are haunting. And again, which is all wrong. Like if you like haunting is good in a movie that's supposed to feel haunting. Go watch Salo and you'll get haunting. This came out December 22nd, 2000. This was the Christmas Day release movie. That's the point of this movie. And it is not, boy howdy folks, is it not. So let's not dwell in the Elfman zone. We go to him at work. He's very mean to his character actor, second in command, Mintz. I can't think of the actor's name. You've seen him in 100,000 things, though.
They're in a board meeting, and essentially what it boils down to is Nicolas Cage is like, if we do this deal, we will make a lot of money. And then the other man next to him says, well, it's Christmas, sir. Some of us want to spend time with our families. And he's definitely not nice about it, but he's not like, it's not like, I kept thinking about Scrooged, like Bill Murray and Scrooged, because it's sort of no, he's not like a cartoon character villain. he does like turn to this guy and goes like, look, I know it sucks. I know you want to hang out with your family, but if you work this one Christmas, you're going to make, I think, what does he say? Like, my Christmas gift comes with 10 zeros or something like that.
Has 10 zeros. And then he
10
starts
zeros.
laughing and everyone else starts laughing after him.
Yeah. And I'm
So that,
like,
by the way,
okay, that's rude. I don't know. There's a lot of just gonna get this off my chest right away. My takeaway of this movie is that Nicolas Cage maybe doesn't deserve the strange, surreal nightmare that he goes through in this movie. Maybe all that much. He's definitely, he's not like an Ebenezer Scrooge, or like, like he's not an awful man. He's kind of he's very normal. I think even for like a millionaire, he's like a pretty like normal dude.
Yeah, that is, by the way, Saul Rubinek
Saul
plays
Rubinek.
his second in command, Alan Mintz.
Alan. I thought, yeah.
Yeah. That does take us to the next scene where he's sitting with his boss, who's trying to get him to like.
Which, by the way, he walked into his office and helped himself to the bar, and I was like, "Oh, is this Scrooged?" Because it's the same. Yeah.
Really very similar office and penthouse to the Bill Murray movie Scrooged.
I think it's like is it supposed
it
to
might be the
like,
same tower,
right? I don't know. Regardless,
he walks into the office. The boss is like, his boss is Lassiter, which is a great executive last name, of course. And he's telling him about he's got to go butter up this guy to make this arbitrage deal go through, which brings me to my next insane Nick Cage line, where he says, "Why are you staring at my breasts, Peter?" Pardon? Excuse me? I have to wonder, you hear all these stories that are like half made up, right? Where they say, "Oh, that line was improvised," which people think means they said it on camera, everyone laughed, and they kept that exact take. And that's not what they mean. What it usually means is they did a take, and the one line that was in the script went okay, and then the actor walked up to the director during a break and was like, "Hey, what if instead of saying this, we did another take where I said this?" And the director kind of laughed and was like, "That is actually better." That's what happens when people say, "Oh, that line was improv." That's what they mean. This stinks of that. Like, there's a line there where he's supposed to be like, "Oh, I'm supposed to go butter him up," or, "Oh, I'm back to being a salesman again," but he was like, "Wouldn't it be better if he said something unhinged and insane?"
It's definitely a weird line. This whole scene, I got to be honest, I was just, my brain could not stop drawing comparisons to other movies. And there's a lot of that in here where
this is all this is supposed to be your I really like the function of what happens to him is more like A Wonderful Life, but it is really a Scrooge setup, right? You're trying to show how this guy is not that great of a guy, and that maybe both himself and his life would have been better if he had acted different. And that's like, these are the scenes that are supposed to make it add up to this. And to your credit, as you said earlier, he's rich, which I do have a problem with. Don't get me wrong. No such thing as an ethical billionaire. But also, he's kind of affable. He's single.
He's not. Normally, when you see this kind of movie, where it's like somebody gets isekai'd into another version of like
cosmic
their life.
Retribution. Yeah, they get some sort of cosmic. Yeah, they like Bill. Again, it's hard to not compare it to this because it is the movie it felt at times the most like. Bill Murray and Scrooge pre-Visitation by Ghosts fires Bobcat Goldthwait for no reason, tells his secretary that she has to work late and can't go to her son's doctor's appointment, sends his brother a towel instead of a VCR for Christmas, wins a humanitarian award that he then leaves behind in a taxi, gets really excited and happy about a woman dying from a heart attack from seeing his terrible, excessively loud and scary Christmas Carol commercial. Like he's like a villain. He's a really really bad guy, and that's the point. Nick Cage is sort of like eccentric and single and is in charge of like a big money making organization that is not even
Yeah,
like,
but it's
is it
medical
shady?
supplies. It's medical supplies, which like
Yeah,
I
that is
think
pretty
was
bad.
what I took from it. Um, but like he's not the
They didn't.
person that would get
It's not. Yeah.
targeted by this normally in a movie.
Which brings us to our next scene where he decides he's leaving work late. He decides he's going to walk home, and he has a whimsical. Did this make you feel weird too? He steps out and it starts snowing, and his eyes get all big and glittery, and it's like, well, what's about to happen?
He's
And it's
about
like,
to get sucked into the Cheadle-verse.
I really did think that what was going to happen, because not to gloss over too much or to go back, he gets a message from his ex,
Yes.
and
That's
he
kind of
decides
the
not to
big
call her
incident
back.
of the movie is his Teo Leoni sends
Mhm.
him a voicemail, basically calls him and doesn't leave a message.
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, I wonder what that was." And it's like, I literally thought he decided he was gonna walk home because it's a nice night. It starts snowing. His eyes get all big and glittery. I was thinking isekai. I was like, does he step out in the street and get hit
Get
by
hit
a,
by a car.
like an anime, like Yu Yu Hakusho? Like and then he's in his other universe self. Is that how this
No,
is told?
I knew that it was it was Don Cheadle related because I kind of
An
remembered seeing
angel,
trailers for this.
an
But
angel named Cash.
is he? I guess yeah. I don't.
He's not a person. He has magic powers,
He's
and
a
he sends him on a Christmas adventure. That's Angel to me.
uh but okay, hold on.
Or
So
is he a Rod Serling devil?
I I don't know where he fits on the cosmology, right? I don't know
On the
where we
the wheel, on the
on the
great wheel.
wheel, right? I think like okay, let's just so he leaves his office, he has his like snow is magical moment, and he goes into a convenience store, and I hit another valley. I was up because I thought him looking at the snow with Labubu eyes was really funny, and like it was an interesting choice. And then I hit a valley because Brett Ratner regular, Ken, I think it's Leon is how you pronounce it. He's in all of Brett Ratner's movies. He's in Rush Hour. He's in the X-Men movie, and he is behind the counter at a convenience store. And Nicolas Cage asks him a
The
question
eggnog is
where the eggnog is, and in the most early
too offensive
2000s
to imitate.
offensive uh Asian person voice, he is given an answer. I'm not even gonna do it because it's the voice you're thinking of.
It's it is
It's bad.
the owner of the Chinese restaurant in South Park voice.
Yeah. And that happens, and then Don Cheadle comes in. Now, Don Cheadle doesn't talk like this the whole movie, but it's also Don Cheadle kind of doing a stereotype. And then the two stereotypes start getting in an argument. And I was like, when does this scene end? Because I even for 2000, I'm like, and then it does end because Don Cheadle is about to, I guess, shoot Ken Leung over not accepting a lottery ticket. And Nicolas Cage diffuses the situation. He de-escalates. He does a very good thing.
Yeah, I would say a good deed. This is like, if this was the setup for a trap, the trap fail, right?
Right.
Like if it was like, oh, I'm gonna, hold up this place and we'll see how good of a person he is, and he like does
He
it.
succeeds.
Yeah,
He de-escalates the whole situation, and he and
he
like
uses his wealth for a positive force. He pulls $200 out of his pocket and goes, "Look, I'll pay you for that lottery ticket. and I'll just try and exchange it somewhere else, and maybe they'll let me have it since I'm a,
It's like,
you know.
it's truly like that. If you're going to intervene in a situation like that, you did it. That's the best, maybe the best way you could have done it, which is why what happens next
He gets a little preachy with Don Cheadle, and he's like,
irks me so much
he's like,
because
you don't have to be holding people up and
yeah,
being
hold on,
you.
because so he leaves with Don Cheadle. He leaves the convenience store with Don Cheadle, and
Yes,
they
Don
get to
Cheadle
talking.
steals his
Yeah,
eggnog, so he
yeah,
can't have any.
and they're talking, and Nicolas Cage is like, like, you don't, if you just kind of got yourself together, pulled yourself up by your bootstraps, which it's fine. We're not gonna like, um,
Again, preachy, but
but
not
not
like
like rude. He's not like, and
he's
he's
not
not like,
even like spicy about it. He's just sort of like
no,
he's like,
he's
there's
just like, you
places we
seem
can
like
go
an
to
all
get
right guy.
help.
You
And
shouldn't be doing this. If you like applied your, he basically is like acting like Don Cheadle's high school guidance counselor. And he's like, look,
yeah,
man, you could get the grades. I know you can. And what happens then is the most disproportionate retribution I think I've ever seen in a movie, where he Don Cheadle's like, well, what about you, man? What would you need? What do you need? And Nicolas Cage is like, I don't really need anything. And he doesn't, again, he's not spicy about it. He just says like,
he's not
nah, I don't
even
really need anything.
he's not even arrogant. He's not like
No.
he like again in another movie where you were like, oh, this guy deserves it. They might be like, I've got a Ferrari, I've got a penthouse apartment, I'm about
I'm
to make
sleeping with different
140
chicks
billion
every night.
dollars.
Yeah, like,
Right. He's like, and he would be like, I don't need anything. No,
I'm
he just kind
singing
of goes,
opera in my little black underwear. I don't need anything.
he just kind of goes, I don't need anything. And John Cheadle makes a face like Nick Cage stabbed him in the gut.
Like, yeah,
And
like
is like,
smacked him in the mouth or something. Like,
he says, just remember, you deserved this. I literally, again, this is another moment in the movie where I didn't know what the method was going to be. I thought he was
and
going to
then he
shoot
gets hit
him,
by a car again. Is that what you're?
or he was going to shoot him, and then he was going to wake up in like in the alternate dimension. I was like, they have to have like a. This is a modern movie. He can't just go to sleep and wake up. But that is what happens. He goes home to his big apartment. He falls asleep under his mantelpiece above his headboard, which when I saw it, they looked over it again, is in fact a model train.
Bless him.
Weird.
Okay, and
This
remember, they enticed him to make this movie by putting stuff that he likes in it.
by making it more like, so this is maybe a Nick Cage touch where he's like, we'll just bring in my headboard. Um, and then he wakes up in New Jersey. Worst case scenario. He wakes up, and this is very weird to me because this is I am going to say this, a dig at Brett Ratner.
I think we're past that point. We can say
I would
we're,
not have shot this scene like that, where he wakes up, and immediately the way the scene is shot is it's from above, and Leoni, who I'm going to pause here to say is the soul of this movie. She is such an active actor in this. She does so much work in this movie. And she makes so many choices that are clearly like little things to give this character more like character. And she's also beautiful. She looks amazing.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
This shot is he wakes up and Tia Leone's head is like on his chest. And it's like they don't give it like a slow like, oh, he wakes up and he stretches and the room doesn't look familiar, and then he looks over and she's there.
No,
And
they're
then
like,
like
this is happening now.
it's like he wakes up, bam, you're back with your college ex. Also, you have two kids and have had a kid for long enough that one of them is like 5 or 6 or 7 or something. And you live in this New Jersey house, and it's Christmas Day, and your in-laws are downstairs, and one of them is a cowboy, and that's fun.
I literally have the note. I like that his father-in-law is a King of the Hill character.
The fact that it's an in-universe recognition also, that he's like putting on a thing where
Yeah.
the wife goes, I don't know why he won't quit it with this Ponderosa thing that he's kept going. that that did crack me up. And this was one of the high points for me of like Nicolas Cage stuff. And there are plenty of other actors who would have been like, let's take it slow. Let's do like it dawns on him and he fully realizes what happens. No. Cage has a 45-second meltdown, starts screaming about how he can't find his Ferrari, and then drives the
I
minivan
did like when his
right
father-in-law is
home.
like, "You got a Ferrari?"
That's it. I was like, this is like he went full nuts so fast. And he steals the
Well,
minivan from
and
himself, I
to his
guess.
defense, I will say this: if this happened to a person, I don't think you would have the slow reveal for the sake of drama, right? Like that's a
Yeah,
good note for a movie. I think if a real person, like if let's say like if you woke up tomorrow
yeah.
in the Cheadle-verse,
In the Cheadle-verse in New
in
Jersey.
let's just say like a similar situation,
Sure.
you would not be like, oh, no, you'd be like, who the fuck is this? Where the fuck am I? What
Yeah.
like so like I'm not gonna
Um,
hold that against him. I will hold against him that um he takes his father-in-law's car,
he
which is
doesn't.
weird
He
because they
asks, he begs for the father-in-law's car, and he won't give him it to him. He tells him he has to drive the minivan that belongs to him.
right. But like this movie does a thing where I think every scene where someone is in a car, they the green screen or whatever they're doing to make the city pass behind them, it's going too fast. And
I
everyone
mean,
looks like they're driving at 100 miles an hour. There's a scene later where he's driving with Don Cheadle, and I was like, Don Cheadle is some kind of demon or something because like he would be
going
hitting stuff. There's no
going
like,
130 on Madison Avenue.
but he has yeah. I'm getting ahead here. He has like he takes the minivan into the city. And we basically do It's a Wonderful Life where he's like, well, this is my job. But it's
Yeah.
not. And
He goes
like,
back, he tries to go back to his apartment. And he goes he gets stopped by the doorman. He tries to tell his flirty older neighbor that he's exists and should live here, and they both tell him to go away or else they're going to call the police, which is where he says the opener to this episode, is this some kind of Christmas joke, which again
right.
is not a
Script is
thing.
not super tight.
um and then that was the first moment where I was like, the Danny Elfman of all this is making this movie scary.
It's kind of
That moment is like
yeah.
very Twilight Zone, very Tim
It's
Burton-y.
this is sort of like Rod Sterling's It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes.
Um where like, and again, I just want to say It's a Wonderful Life happens because Jimmy Stewart's character is
Too
trying to
nice.
end his life.
Because
And
he thinks that the life insurance will help his family get out of terrible debt.
right. But like the movie is about look at the effect that you have on these people. Life is
Mhm.
not better without you, right?
Yeah.
This movie does not do that.
Purports that it might have been.
um
Or maybe there are people who you did affect who their lives would be better if you hadn't. Or had
right.
at least affected them less selfishly.
Um so he has this sort of It's a Wonderful Life moment. And then I wrote down here, this is a nightmare. Like this is
Yeah.
like an actual nightmare because I think he's playing it really realistically, which maybe was a poor choice, right? Because he's
Definitely,
like,
definitely
holy
weird
shit,
for Christmas.
I don't live here. Why don't I live here? Why don't I work here? And like he's having like I feel like he's doing a very like true to life performance. Um that being said, Don Cheadle shows up in his car listening to the opera.
Don Cheadle has stolen parts of
His
his
life.
life.
Yeah.
He's not working at his job. He's not living in his house. But
That we know of.
He did take his car, maybe one of his suits, maybe his tiny black underwear. Because in the whole rest of the movie, Nick Cage has no tiny black underwear. He has dad boxers on.
Yeah.
And has definitely stolen his taste in music because he's listening to loud opera in the Ferrari.
And then they drive at 147 miles an hour. And Don Cheadle essentially explains that
what the movie's about.
Because you said that you don't need anything, I'm giving you a glimpse of what your life could be had you made a different choice back in 1987. So I went, this is a lot for what sounds like just a slight. Just maybe like an innocent slight.
And a minimal one.
Not even, it's not, yeah. That would be like if someone cut you off in traffic, and not like crazy traffic. Like you're driving to like the library in a suburban town and an old lady pulls out in front of you. You're not going very fast. There's not a lot of stakes. But that old lady pulls in front of you, and then you shoot her into another universe for recompense.
You blow her tires out with a gun.
Yeah, you blow her tires out. But he explains essentially what's going on with the movie. And then the one thing I want to point out is he gets home. And you pointed this out to me when we talked about, because we talked a little bit after we watched it. He comes home, and his wife, Téa Leoni, who, by the way, Téa Leoni in this movie is, I think, the epitome of if you give someone an inch, they will take a mile, because she just is like, oh, okay. Every time he does something. And I don't know if it's the
moment rule. He's like, he'll do something where it seems like outlandish, and she either is like, well, that's an interesting new personality quirk you have, or she always tries to play it like, huh. And yeah, that's you joking again.
And I have to imagine that this is maybe one of the rules of the Cheadle-verse construct, where like it can't, because this universe doesn't exist, right? No. This is a fabrication by whatever dark Lovecraftian creature Don Cheadle is in this. And the fact that anytime he does anything, Nicolas Cage does anything in this movie where it would be behavior where you'd be like, I'm concerned for my loved one because they keep doing things like this or saying things like this. She's like, oh, okay. And that's the end of it.
Well, and what she says in this scene that made me stop. First of all, he does go to visit Jeremy Piven, which good for Jeremy Piven. He's been in movies for years. He always plays the same guy, and he just gets away with it, and good for him.
He's nice in this movie. He's not like Entourage Jeremy Piven.
He's still that like energy though.
Yeah.
Like, it's still very like, when he shows off his little den that he's so proud of. Like that's still very like
aw.
That's like the goods. Sort of.
It's not like the goods, but I get what you're saying.
Right, like he's still like the same like what he's into.
Yeah.
But he gets home from having a drink with Jeremy Piven. His wife is of course so upset because he missed like Christmas morning. He missed the in-laws. He missed pancakes and presents, she says. And then she says, it's not funny this time. And I paused the movie laughing like crazy. He's done this specifically before? This same thing?
I'm sure she doesn't mean, and it's impossible for us to know, but I'm sure she doesn't mean the exact thing. Like getting up, being confused about why she's there and he's there and where he is, running downstairs, trying to steal his father-in-law's car, driving to the city, disappear for 4 hours, get drunk with Jeremy Piven, come home. Like, I'm pretty sure it's not exactly that. But
the
some of
thing that
those
kept
elements have to line up for her to say that.
right. The thing that kept crossing my mind was, is this the universe that all Nick Cages get sent to? If they're like is there a version of the National Treasure Nick Cage where he's like
Where he also defuses a convenience store robbery and then
and he's like, here's what your life would have been like if you had like taken, because you know he doesn't take the money when they find the treasure at the end of that movie. Spoiler for a movie that came out when I was in high school. But like he doesn't take the money that they offer as like the prize for finding the quote unquote national treasure. And it's like Don Cheadle's like, here's what the world would have been like if you had taken all that money. And it's like somehow he's
Leoni
still in bed with
and
Leoni, and he's like, what? Where the hell am I? Where's the Declaration of Independence? And she's
opera
like,
playing on the radio.
and she's like, you're just having a bad day again, honey. Are you gonna pick the kid up from school?
Yeah, but yeah, her saying it's not funny this time
This
also
time,
implies that he did it as a joke the first time.
or that she found it funny once, like that he
Yeah.
was like, "Who are you? Where? How did I get here?" And then she was like, "You're a card," and he was like, "Yeah, I'm always joking." What?
It's
Um,
gotta it's the laws of this
it's got to
Cheadle-verse.
be, yeah. It's got to be like, it's got to be a way to just keep the tires rolling, or
Keep
else
the cage imprisoned here.
it's
We
got
have
the
to
simulation breaks down if we get too far into this. You just
if
have to sort of
Leoni
let it.
starts asking questions, the whole Cheadle-verse unravels.
If Taleone says, "What do you mean by that?" once, the whole thing goes black and he just wakes up right away. That's the like actual drop. Um, but he starts to, the middle part is a little less wacky. He starts to adjust.
Yes.
He
I
they have a cute dog. He's so bad at realizing that he's in another universe, and like I don't know if this is me being like a very modern film watcher and appreciating genre aware characters. He is genre stupid in this. I don't think he catches on through the whole movie.
well, I mean, that's especially strange because Don Cheadle told him what's going on.
Hmm.
So like for him to be like, "Ugh,
He
this isn't
walks
where
away
I
from that.
live."
He walks away from that conversation with Don Cheadle, and he goes home. And his wife is after accusing him of doing this again, crazy, says that they have to go to a party, and he decides to go to the party.
Oh my god,
And
the party. Hold on.
the party is
We'll get to
full.
it. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
But he goes to the party. One of the scenes in the party is that she's talking about the nonprofit law firm that she works at, and he goes nuts and is like, "So you don't? No one makes any money. It's a nonprofit firm. No," and it's like, Nick, an hour ago, a guy told you that you're in a different reality right now and that you've always been married to this woman. Acting like it's the first time she's ever told you what her job is going to make you look like a class A clown. What
Um
is figure it out, dude. Catch up. I know it's only been a day.
Before, okay, I want to talk about the party because there's a Cheadle-verse thing that I want to address.
Uh,
But before we do that, so his daughter is, and I think this is before the party, right?
this is after the
That's
party.
after the party.
It is after the party. He has this freak out at the
Okay,
party, and
then I have to talk about the party because
okay.
the party has a moment where the neighbor's wife approaches him and is very flirty. And I have a note here where I just wrote, "Uh-oh." And she continues to be flirty. And I went, there's no way that this universe where he is experiencing what he missed out on
Yeah.
has a woman that he's having an affair with in it.
One,
There's
one would
no
hope,
way.
yeah.
And I'm like, and I'm thinking about it, and like I'm trying to like understand where they're coming from. And like I was like, okay, so she's being flirty, but she's being like too flirty. Like the way the scene is written, I
Yeah.
was like, he's cheating on his wife. It's not like a like, oh, that lady said she liked my tie and kind of touched my arm. Like she was like, it sound like I was already like, oh, weird.
The neighbor
And
is Evelyn is her name, and the
Evelyn, yeah.
actress is Lisa Thornhill, who you might also know from uh, Life or Something Like It.
Okay.
Meet Wally Sparks, which is a Rodney Dangerfield movie.
I think I've seen Meet Wally
It looks
Sparks,
like she
actually.
frequently plays. She was on Veronica Mars.
That might be where I know
Um,
her from.
yeah, she frequently plays an extremely attractive woman,
Yeah.
and that seems to be. She's been a lot of red dresses in all the
Good
photos
for
of
her.
her. Yeah, good. I mean, that's typecasting's no fair in Hollywood. That's kind of an okay thing to
Yeah.
be recognized as extremely attractive for essentially your whole young life.
But so I had a moment watching the scene with Evelyn flirting with him where I went, there's no fucking way that this would be a part of the Don Cheadle universe that he made. The Cheadle punishment vortex that he is in right now.
It's
There's
another
no way that's a
failed
part of
trap.
it.
It's
So
another Cheadle dangled another trap in front of him to like, oh, you're gonna fuck up this life too. And he tries. We'll get to that. That's later in the movie. But that moment is weird to me where I was like, I got a laugh out of that because the first time it happens, he's so like dissociating at that point because of how weird everything is to him that he's just like, uh-huh.
yeah, like
It's like, you look nice too, and just walks away.
um
That scene is also full of, I mentioned, all the like sitcom character actors. So that's where you get like um the Joel McKinnon and Tom McGowan cameos. Tom McGowan is, you would probably know him from the movie Heavyweights.
yep.
He's in the Birdcage also. But like all these character actors surrounding Nick Cage, and each of them gets like 2 lines. And I was like, man, I like Nick Cage movies enough to be doing this whole nonsense that I've put myself up to.
Right.
I would love to get a little more Tom McGowan out of this scene, though. That'd be
Yeah.
great. Just a little.
So yeah, the thing with the party, right? I'm my brain got latched onto like, okay, if this is supposed to be, if this is a trap, a
Uh-huh.
Cheadle trap in the
Oh,
punishment
jeez.
vortex, um, it's strange that it's there, but it's also strange that if it is something that is being purposefully done by Don Cheadle, that it's happening at that point when he is on another planet, essentially. Like it's weird timing. And I think that's one of the things about this movie that like really makes it middle. Like as the kids say, that makes it kind of mid, is it
Yeah.
doesn't commit in places where you're like, okay, this is weird. Why isn't it like just decidedly saying one way or another about this? And I feel
Yeah.
like the question of is he having an affair, because of the kind of movie this is, right? They take a long time to confirm that nothing happened between the two of them, because
Yeah.
it's
It's
and
a- and like it's also treated like so up in the air and weird, and it's like we have said, this is a very middle of the road movie in a lot of ways. There are so many things where it's like sometimes in a movie where there are side characters, you just have a last scene with that character, and then they sort of just go away. And in good movies, you get sort of a resolution out of side characters too. But in movies like this, like if you're thinking we're gonna get to the Evelyn thing and there's gonna be like a moment that happens or a script beat that like challenges it or gives it some sort of like total resolution, it doesn't. Not
no,
really. It's very open still. Jeremy Piven also does just stand up and walk out of this movie at one point, and we just are done with him. It's very lazy about side characters, including the part we were just talking about earlier, including the kids.
the
We'll get to the
kids.
kids at the
Okay,
end of the movie because that's weird. But let's talk about a scene I wrote down too that I think you were about to say.
So
Does the daughter know he's been quantum leapt?
I wrote this. His daughter can perceive the threads of reality. She can pierce the veil.
So he wakes up day after Christmas.
Yes.
First of all, we get a Brett Ratner classic, Tia Leoni in the shower.
Yes.
Totally egregious. Very weird for a movie that doesn't have
Could have been
any
more
other...
egregious, but
I mean, hey, I'm of two minds about it. One, I was like, wow, that's a lot of partial nudity for a movie that is about like a family topic of like, wouldn't your life be better if you were a little, you know, but also weird. And then there's the just awful baby diaper changing scene.
I mean, that scene's in every movie where it's like being a dad is rough. Like that happens in every.
But I've never seen it quite so graphic. It's
I mean,
it's maybe maybe there'll be more of them in this podcast. Maybe I need to dig a little deeper into the 80s and 90s, but that was very strange to me. But then the kid is his daughter is the older kid, and she's Annie Campbell. She's staring at him, and she goes like something to the effect of like, "You're not my dad, are you?" And he's stone faced. Nick Cage has this expression in a lot of this movie where he's like, as if he's studying an interesting rock and not dealing with emotions in a scene. He goes, "No,"
which is
no,
also wild. Even if you
crazy.
have no child rearing instincts at all,
or even if he didn't know what was going on still, if he hadn't gotten the exposition dump from Cheadle, I think I would still go, I kind of have to play along, don't I? This is a kid.
Right, yeah.
And she's like, I can tell. And like my first thought was like, is she like a plant in the Cheadle universe where she's going to be like, I know my real dad is different. You're not acting like him. Something's going on. You can tell me the truth. I thought they were going to have a real conversation. But then she just immediately goes, "You're an alien." And she starts touching his face. And she's like, "You look so real." Um, I I do want to devote exactly enough time. He goes to work that day, and I just noticed this. I don't know if it was my copy. I don't know if every version was like this. The scene where they're saying "Good morning, Jack" to him while he's walking in, and for some reason, whenever he says hello, Nick Cage's lips don't move, and it's really clearly ADR of someone saying hello.
I think I did notice that.
I wrote that down and I rewound it once because I was like, does he? How? He's not making that noise himself, and it's like when you ADR something and it doesn't look that good, so you like cut to a shot from behind.
Yeah,
they didn't do that. It's not behind his head. It's staring at his face. His lips aren't moving, and you can hear other people talking. He goes, "Hello," and his lips are totally no indication that he's. It's so weird. Again, another scene that made me be like, "This is crazy."
Yeah, I also the way that they shot and scored his drive to work. It is full on like and I don't know if maybe I was just like kind of in the headspace of this movie is kind of eerie and strange. It feels like it's sort of shot like you're driving up to the Bates Hotel or like
it's like it
the
follows.
Overlook. Like it's very like, and then he turns the corner and the King of the Hill theme should start playing or like, and
the Big Ed's tire with the big cowboy of his father-in-law. It's like the eyes in The Great Gatsby watching over all the sin and
another thing about the
violence.
party, and it's related to this, when he's like, I sell tires, like that line delivery, he turns tires into like a 4-syllable word. Sorry, but we can keep going.
He's so ungenre savvy that he just keeps making these insane gaffes and big swings. So he eventually he's like sort of settling into things. There's one scene where Tia Leoni runs in and is like, the kids are asleep, and starts undressing, and he's like,
instantly
what?
okay with it. Yeah,
Well,
like
he's like, he's like instantly okay, and then he's like, they have a very sweet, genuine moment where Tia Leoni is acting, and Nicolas Cage looks like he's trying as hard as he can to get gum off the bottom of his shoe with a toothpick, where she's like staring at him and is all goo goo eyed, and he says, God, you're beautiful, and she's like so impressed because to her, they've been married for 13 years. To him, it's the first time he's seen her in 13 years in like a sex way, and so he's like taken off guard, and she goes to get all prettied up, and he goes to bed because I don't know, he feels like he's betraying who exactly by
I mean,
sleeping with a woman who I guess it's weird because it's like to him this is a relationship that doesn't exist, but it's not
there,
like he's cheating on
yeah, you raise an
what he's
interesting
one
moral quandary about this movie, which
is.
is
Can you consent if the person you're married to's brain got swapped with them from another dimension, except the dimension you're in could never really exist?
yes, like what? How does that
It's
work?
it's like that consent meme where it's like Nick Cage and Tia Leoni are both like, I consent, but then Don Cheadle is in the corner like, I don't.
Right? Yeah. Um. Because yeah, that
They go
was
to
I had
the
two notes for this scene. I was like, okay, he's instantly okay with getting his bones jumped by Taya Leone. That's fair. And then I wrote, huh. I suddenly have a lot of questions about whether this is okay or not. This is objectively not her husband. It looks like her husband, perhaps feels and smells like her husband, but
he's
this is
odd.
something else.
Yeah,
Something else inside the husk of her husband.
we do that. They go to the mall. It has this insane suit scene where he goes to try on a $2,400 suit, and she's like, "You're an insane person. You can't buy that." And he tries to pull a power move, and it's like there's a moment where when he goes to work, he pulls, I guess, his personal checkbook out
Oh, I
to
did
look
like
at
that. Yeah, that
his
was
own
funny.
finances, and he's like, "Oh no," which is like, that's
That's
kind
what
of
I do
weird.
every time I look at my
Yeah,
own personal finances. I just go, oh
but
no,
like
no,
that
no, no.
that means he went to the mall the next day, found a $2,400 suit, and thought the problem was my wife won't let me buy this, as if it wasn't. I know for a fact I don't have enough money for this.
I feel like I could kind of identify with that maybe a little bit because there have definitely been times where I have looked like at my bank statement and I was like, oh, not a lot of throw around money this week, and then I will proceed to throw some money around.
Right, sure.
Um,
But that's a lot of money to
that's a
throw
lot of
around
throw around money. Yeah.
for one suit. It's even now, it's 25 years later, I still wouldn't spend that much on a suit. That's insane. Um,
Um,
he goes bowling with Jeremy Piven,
yes.
and that is where he has his second flirty conversation with Evelyn, where again he acts like a space alien and makes that face
And
where his
she's
eyebrows,
into it.
she's like, his eyebrows are a straight line. He's not emoting, but he is talking about how, have we had
he's
sex?
he's doing
Are
live
we
slug reaction.
he's doing he's doing the least, but he is asking, are we having sex? Have we had sex? Are we about to have sex? Essentially. And she confirms we're about to, in her opinion.
In
And he's
her
like, that's
opinion.
very this. And he goes, that's very interesting, essentially. And then
And then he
she's like,
walks away. Yeah,
she's like,
like
she's like, you should come over sometime. And he's like, I will think about that. And then he goes to Jeremy Piven and goes, I need Evelyn's address. And I wrote, when Jeremy Piven is playing the better husband than you, you're a rotten guy. Because Jeremy Piven dresses him down and is like, you're insane.
I have a note here where I'm like, Jeremy Piven, his character is essentially he's the kid in the after school special who's like, no, Bill, we shouldn't smoke. Like he's like the he's the moral he's the
Yeah.
moral center of the movie, which is wild considering other characters Jeremy Piven has played.
Cheadle placed one. a devil to try to tempt him, Evelyn.
And an
2,
angel named
an
Jeremy
angel,
Piven.
Jeremy Piven. And then 3, a person that could help him stay grounded to the world he's really from, which is his daughter, Annie.
Yeah.
So that he would never feel...
These are the ghosts of
right.
the family man.
Good, evil, and a reminder that you're in hell. Those
Yeah.
are the 3. He sits like he's a fucking lunatic with his leg crossed, again with this expression on his face, like he's like, none of this is real. The rules don't apply to me, is what he says when Jeremy Piven says that's cheating on your wife. He goes, the rules, that's not the same for me.
Is this
insane.
where, is it the previous conversation where he's like, remember what you told me? That you can't, just because you're having a little crisis, throw away everything that makes you you. I think it's in the first conversation he has with Jeremy Piven.
He might drop
which
the
is
same
which
thing
is not
again.
fair, because he doesn't know the what he told him.
He also is not the person. Nothing about him makes him in this universe.
No, he's the
He's a
cage
person
thing. He's the cage thing inside the like.
he's a pod. He doesn't know who he is. He's from the other version of his life, and he doesn't understand. And like, I think it's a fair lesson.
Wearing his Edgar suit.
Yeah, it's fair to be like, maybe you would be happier if you did settle down with one woman, is like the lesson that this is trying to like teach him. But the lesson is also, you are with someone in this world. You're not in a simulation that you know of. We know he is, but... And then he goes home and he tries to steal some cake from his wife, and he says the least sexy thing possible.
A beautiful piece of internet history is born.
Yes.
I did not realize when you wanted me to watch this movie with you.
I didn't either.
I did not realize that this movie is where the chocolate cake video that we used to watch all the time on Newgrounds comes from.
Where Nick Cage comes home and he wants some cake.
He wants it.
He saved. And then Téa Leoni is already eating the cake. And he goes, give me that cake. And she goes, you want this cake? And they run through the house. And they have like a sexy little chase. Again, I say Téa Leoni is the best actress in this movie because like she is so believably like a mom who is probably a half a decade.
She's very believable up until the end of the movie, and we'll talk about that when we get there.
She's so like, she's definitely playing like a mom who is still in her prime. She's like still obviously is attracted to Nick Cage in this version of the universe. She's like, they have, based on context clues, which is like all you get, they have like a flirty, fun relationship that the Cage imposter is like struggling to find his groove in. They sort of are about to fully make out on the stairs covered in cake, and she again just wants to hear him say I love you before they have sex, and he says something disgusting instead.
I screamed out loud when this part happened. She says, tell me the thing that I want to hear. And he says, you're a bad girl. And I screamed out loud.
God, it's so awful.
Because it was one like super awkward. Because she reacts to it like he insulted her family, which technically he already did a couple of days ago by running out of the house.
I mean, he's done enough across the last however many days this has been.
Yeah.
The movement of time in this was really strange too. Presumably we make it by the end of the movie to Valentine's.
So he's in there for a long time.
Big Ed has decorated the tire shop towards the end of the movie with pink and red hearts everywhere. And he also comments on someone who's wearing what appears to be a normal outfit with, I'll give you 10% off for the best costume. And it's just, he's not wearing anything that made me think.
Oh, right. Yeah. I was like confused by that. Also,
it seems like maybe whatever. So much in this movie doesn't make any sense. It's fine. he also, so after the cake scene where he has his freak out, um, and tries to shove cake in her mouth and says the awful thing, he decides to sit and watch home movies, and he puts on a home movie where he's fucking singing again.
I wrote, oh my god, he sings twice in this movie.
I literally right was Nick Cage trying to sing more in movies in this era. But I was like, he's not singing well, and it's a joke in the movie is he's not singing well kind of on purpose. It's an embarrassing moment in a home video.
Right.
But the response he has to seeing this emotional moment in this home movie is he goes back to work at Ed's, and his against all odds his old boss pops a tire.
Yes, the
And
last temptation of the cage.
yeah, he needs to get a new tire for the boss, and he winds up having a sit down with him. And I wrote, after all of this, he's still trying to back his way into his old life, because he immediately starts these machinations of like showing what a slick, cool customer he is to his old boss over like how he
you had a kitty cat. You need a Doberman.
yeah, ugh, God, what a and so as we're going through all these scenes where he's like he has this conversation with his boss in his tire shop office, and then he winds up going to the like he winds up going to like the old office he used to work at, and has like a weird interview where he flippantly
Is it an interview? Because it's like, I was like, oh, so this is going to resolve with them like laughing him out of the building, right? Like that's the
yeah
joke, is like he's going to come in and be like, business, 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 and they're going to go, you're an idiot, and then it's over, right?
yeah, but then he pulls his multi-universe brain switcheroo and reveals a bunch of truths about their lives.
Because he knows them from the other universe. Yeah.
Yes. And he's
Well,
like he like knows like kids'
he does a
names.
cold read. He does like a cold read, like crossing
Like
over, like
crossing over. Yeah, he's like, you strike me as a guy who drinks this and this, and it's obviously all just stuff he knows from the other
right.
universe. And they're like, and like his boss is like really,
Oh, like he's
and
like
it's so dumb. He's like, they were about to hire him to do arbitrage, which is like
he mind freaked them into a
he,
job,
he
essentially.
mind freaked them into, and I wrote he's a psycho when he started doing that. Because I would be like, arrest this man for stalking my family. There's and which of course snowballs into him bringing Tia Leoni
Well, he
to
also,
New
there's the
York.
scene with Alan when he's leaving, which, by the way,
Yeah,
I liked the moment of where I was like, oh, Alan's the boss. If Nicolas Cage isn't the boss, that's kind of fun.
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
that was kind of a fun twist. And then Alan reveals that perhaps uh his state fair cold read maybe isn't accurate to Alan in this universe.
Didn't
Because
impress
Alan's
him.
essentially like, if you work here, I'm gonna kill you. Like
Alan's like,
essentially.
Alan is ready to be like, oh, I'll find you a job in the fucking mailroom, you pig. And it's like,
Yeah,
I
like,
I was like, I'm so glad that like that is what happened instead of everyone being impressed, because that's not realistic.
no.
It
Well,
was,
what should have happened was he does like, you like scotch instead of meh. And then they all laugh and they say, all right, that was fun. Go back to the tire
yeah.
store. Like,
But it seems like he's about to get a big job at the old place he used to work, and so he brings we did gloss over just because it's a schmaltzy scene, but it's not really that important to the movie. He forgets his wife's anniversary, and then like
oh, right. Yeah. I mean,
he like double times to like get something special, and like takes her out to the city for nice food, and they have sex in a hotel room. But it's not like Nothing
I mean,
that Nick
yeah,
AG happens. It's a fine scene that shows that he's getting more used to the universe, I guess.
which is
And then he
weird
immediately does
because
this.
he immediately does this.
He immediately is like, "Great, I just got into a good place where my wife likes me and doesn't think I'm a space alien, so I'm going to start acting like one again." He takes Tia Leoni downtown to give her the news by showing off the um just, if I might say, very Trump-like apartment.
It's
If I was
very
going to name
like
an aesthetic.
if you picture like the kind of New York penthouse that like a mean old lady would live in.
Yeah, the sort
Like
of penthouse where, like, if you were taken to it, the person who lives there would be like, "I'm not here very often." That's what it looked
right.
like. And he's
Yeah.
showing off this place, and he's like sort of coyly being like, "We're gonna live here. It's a thing for executives. I'm getting like," and like he eventually drops, "I'm getting into arbitrage. I got this cool job." And she starts panicking and being upset because she's like a real person who has like kids and her
who
own
who had
job and
who had no
feelings.
input in a big decision.
And to Nick Cage, this is him being like, "I'm scrabbling to get my life back." To her, it's a completely out of left field, bizarre, like, this isn't a company he used to work for. It's all like new, and so he says what I think is the last or second to last, definitely second to last, sorry, thing that he says that is like the all-time Nick Cage line. He goes, "I'm detecting a funky tension here," which is like
I
he's
love that
he's
George S.
he's
Clinton album.
he's
That's
he's
my
acting
favorite.
insane. He's acting insane. She's reacting to it the way a human would, and he's like, "Something's not right." Yeah. Um,
I'm detecting a funky tension here.
and so they go home. They have like a moment where she's very like, he discovers that's what it is. He goes home, he's looking through stuff. He discovers a book that has a ticket inside of it, and it's a return ticket from London. So the story sort of closes up that gap where it's like, it's not that in this universe he chose to never leave, it's that he came back the very next day, which is not, despite the movie's insistence on it, more romantic.
No, I don't think it's
It's
more romantic either. Yeah, it was very I was like, "Oh, so he like
he
that to
took a
me says you went, you didn't like it, and then you didn't you're a quitter. That's
he
what you
took a
are."
he took a 9-hour flight, landed landed in the London airport, and was like,
Ew,
"Oh,"
Europe, and then left. Yeah,
right,
like
or was like, I don't know, had a tummy ache on the plane or something. Like, it would have been so much better if they found, or if they just left it, right? If they had
yeah,
never
then
shown that,
no.
like, he just didn't go, is way better. So it's crazy that they showed that. And then she comes in crying, and she's like, I thought I would never see you again. This was going to be a big part of your life, and then you came back, and I was so surprised, and we made this whole life for ourselves." Um, Earlier in the movie, she alludes that like he sort of saved her dad's business by quitting his like stockbroker job he did get while he stayed in New York to take over the tire shop when her dad had a heart attack. And this is all leading up to, he ultimately decides not to do it. And he's like very happy in his new life. And then he goes to the store to get rock salt, and Don Cheadle is there. And
Right.
another scene where I was like, I wonder what's going to happen.
Well, okay, earlier in the movie, Don Cheadle gives him like a bicycle bell
Yes,
and is
this,
like,
if I might say, also a useless plot device because of the
and
way they
he's
handle
like,
it.
"If I ring this, will you show up?"
And Don
And
Cheadle says nothing, of course.
yeah, he says nothing. The little girl Annie takes it and it's like, "Oh, thanks, Dad," and puts it on her bike. And he's like in the garage, and she rings the bike bell, and he looks at it like all of the skin melted off Annie and she's like a skeleton now.
It's
Like
like
he looks at it with abject horror.
it's like the telltale heart. He
Yeah,
gets
it's kind
so
of yeah.
he gets so and so he realizes maybe that like the whole thing is coming to an end. And then he goes to the store, he's getting rock salt for the driveway, and he
And
sees
Cheadle jump
Don
scare. Yeah.
Cheadle is there. Cheadle is there too, as now he works at a convenience store. And he's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "What are you talking about, Jack?" And he rings him up, and he goes off on him about like, "I have kids now. You can't just play with people like this." Um, and then he does play with them. He's back. He has a conversation that with his wife that I said was how disturbing of him to go to his wife and ask him to remember him, which is so much like he's saying goodbye, like he's gonna try to kill himself.
Right.
So
So
weird.
this is when I hit, first of all, uh I want to reiterate with Taya Leoni being like, I thought I was gonna lose you when he finds the ticket. She does also immediately fold and say, I will do this for you.
Yes.
She gives him so much slack in this movie. It has to be a
Crazy.
part of the reality that she's just gonna
Yeah.
say yes and for him forever in order to keep him trapped here. The other
Well,
the
to credit that point, when he tells Cheadle, "Leave me alone. I have a kid. I have kids. My life is important now." Cheadle does make like kind of a misty-eyed face, like this very like, huh, where it's like it's so much of this feels like there are like again like traps laid for him to like screw up, where he would screw up and then Cheadle would appear in a puff of smoke and be like, "See, even if you had the things that are important," and it's like it's almost like he dodges all of them miraculously.
yeah. Well, he's just so out of it.
Yeah, because he's not because he's like clever. It's just dissociating the whole time.
Um, but it's at this moment in the movie where he's like talking to Taya Leoni, right? And he is like, I want you to remember me. Can you do that? And she's like, what? Weird. Okay. you know, uh,
It's just like go to bed.
I had a realization. And I feel like this is the best time to throw this in there. This is a fabrication of the Cheadle monster, right? Whatever Cheadle is in this movie, if he's an angel, angel to some, demon to others,
God,
uh
devil. Yeah.
yeah, whatever he is. Um I had a realization as
Doctor
I
Who
knew that
alien.
yeah, whatever he is, I had a realization at this point in the movie that these children, and by extension, I didn't realize this until we just started talking, like recording the podcast here.
Yeah.
And perhaps also everyone else in this, like Jeremy Piven and Tom McGowan, they don't exist anymore. And that's the real
Certainly
Twilight Zonedness of this, is that those kids gone. Jeremy Piven gone.
certainly
Because
not
he
in the forms that they exist. Because let's
no.
the next two lines that I wrote in my notes were one, he's so often dead-eyed in this movie, which I've already brought up, so we don't need to dwell on that. But then the next thing I wrote was, what if A Wonderful Life made him realize he sucked? And that is
Yeah.
like, this is the movie where it's like, if only you made better choices, you would be married with two kids. You would have saved a business, like a local tire business that would have failed because of your ex's and now wife in this universe's father having a heart attack. You would have like he is like a good friend to Jeremy Piven and stopped him from cheating on his wife. He says that earlier in the movie. So that didn't happen. So like I came to the realization while I was watching this scene where it's like he's gonna go away and like it's gonna go back to the regular universe. I was like, it's kind of messed up that like you're gonna poof away those kids so they just don't exist anymore. You're going to ruin Jeremy Piven's marriage because he doesn't have this good influence. His wife becomes a nonprofit lawyer. And we find out, we go back to the regular universe. He immediately starts drinking. So I wrote he's shit faced in 85% of this movie because that's another thing. He's drinking
Right.
constantly.
Well, now
for
he's
the whole
sad
film.
because he's Thanos snapped his children
Right.
away.
But we go back and so he's so like depressed and he's like, oh man, like I can't believe I lost all that. He goes back to work and he has like a sad conversation where he's like, I guess I'm gonna go to the airport and go to Aspen to
That
help
okay, I
those.
love that line though. The way he delivers it, he's like, I'm gonna go to the airport, I'm going to go to Aspen, I'm gonna have drinks with the CEO of whatever. I'm gonna convince them that the European company is the devil, and then I'm gonna
Mhm.
ski alone for 4 hours because that's my life. I was like,
It is. It's
that
the payoff to all his dead-eyed acting is this scene where it's intentional.
yeah.
But he realizes he never followed up on the voicemail from Kate, right? In the future, the real universe. He never
Yeah.
got back to what she was. And he finds her, of course, living in a really lavish, humongous apartment. She's moving to Paris. So she's going away to like her like law firm is sending her to, another
Paris.
country.
Yeah.
Beautifully amazing. And the reason she called was she had a box of his old shit, which
And
is
like, first of all, what a long time
yeah,
to hang on to an ex's stuff.
it's
I'm sure
nuts.
there's
And
like extenuating circumstances, right? Where it's like,
13
oh,
years though. 13. Do you have anything from an ex from 13 years ago?
no, not really. No.
I certainly don't. Even stuff like, useful stuff. At some point, it's like, I should replace that because that's from so and so. You don't want that stuff anymore around. That's crazy. Like, but she does have a box of stuff to give him. She gives him all his shit. And she's like, clearly a
Can't be
corporate
fucked with
lawyer.
him.
Yeah, and she's like kind of like half invested in talking with him because there are movers and her personal assistant is there. And he like sort of meekly says like, "Oh, you're not a nonprofit lawyer?" And she goes, "Oh no, I'm in, whatever kind of law." And it's like, so that all also, who can even count how many people she did help
That are now,
in
yeah.
that was not a part of their lives anymore. It's absolutely crazy. He this scene is so funny to me. He gets into the limo with all his junk, and the guy goes, "Going to the airport?" And he goes, "No, I'm not going to the airport." And he has him drive him home. He
I
opens the
wrote, so
box.
he's not going to go ski for 4 hours. Okay.
Apparently not. But this is what happens in this order. He says, "I'm not going to the airport." He goes home and opens the old box of his stuff. He sort of sifts through it, but he pulls out exactly one thing, which is a blue yo-yo. He does one spin on the yo-yo and picks it up, and then he goes to the airport.
I
It's just like,
so
so the
I
limo
had
guy,
a
do you think he
thought.
was just outside with the engine running?
Yeah. I had a thought at that moment where the blue yo-yo, I
Mhm.
I saw him, he did the yo-yo, he yoed that yo,
Yeah,
and then I had a moment where I was like, is the yo-yo in other parts of the movie?
absolutely
And I
not.
went back and looked for it. No, it's not.
It's not a thing he does with his kids. We have
No.
unlike It's a Wonderful Life or Christmas Carol, we don't get the past, right? We don't get to see what their relationship was like before they broke up. So like the yo-yo is just out of nowhere. And like
Perhaps it's one of the things that was added to court Nicolas Cage.
sure. Yeah, it was. They're like, he's like, I'm really into yo-yo, and they're like, we can do like a moment of yo-yo. The movie's already getting a little long for the holidays, Nick. Um, so naturally, he does go to the airport to chase down Kate, to chase down Tia Leoni, and at first it feels like, oh, it's going to be like that cliche, don't get on the plane scene, I'm still in love with you. But lest we forget, Nick Cage is the only one who had this experience. This was
Um,
not like nightmare that other people were along with or might remember. So he goes into a long, a long dialogue, a long monologue, I suppose, where he talks about, we had kids, their names are Josh and Annie, and they're perfect, and you worked as a nonprofit lawyer, and I worked with your dad, and like goes on and on and on. And
which is
nuts.
okay. So I wrote here, oh, he's going to the airport. He's going to do the airport thing. That's cool. And then I wrote, oh my God. Oh my God. There's no way this works.
Right.
Because I went I went into the other room and I asked my wife, because maybe my understanding is different than like a woman's understanding of the situation. So I asked my wife what she felt about this, and I described like Nicolas Cage. He has a whole experience where um he essentially experiences like an alternate version of his life where he's a dad, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, he gets back to the real world and Taya Leone is leaving and he screams at her from across the airport. It feels like he's like getting pushed away by a bunch of people trying to get to their terminal or whatever. Or like he's like trapped in a queue, but he's yelling at her about, we have a house. We have a house and 2 kids. And like, I was like, if a man that you have not seen in 13 years picks up a box of his stuff from your office, finds out that you're not sticking around, that you're going to another country, follows you to the airport, and then shrieks at you about how you have a life and a house and 2 kids and a dog together, and you have a Jeremy Piven, and like, if he's yelling this stuff, does this work? And my wife looked at me like I to borrow a phrase from a Christmas movie I know we both like I had lobsters growing out of my ears. Um and I said, this happens in this movie. He has this Twilight Zone Rod Sterling experience, finds the woman from it that he's not seen in over a decade, and yells at her from across the room about how she's his wife and they have a house. And he kind of like goes like, or when I think about it, or like he says something like that, but like the damage is done at that point. Like, and now I'm questioning whether or not Taya Leone being just super forgiving with him is not a part of the Cheadle Matrix, and that's just what she's like. Is she's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Um,
The kicker for me is the way that he ends his insane speech, which should not work and makes him sound like 100% crazy. Which also I could not help but notice in a lot of these scenes, like everyone around them will sort of pause and be like, oh, something magical is happening. And like maybe they'll clap when they hug or something. And obviously that's unrealistic. What happens in this scene is more realistic and far funnier, which is that there are people that are just boarding around them, including giving him sideways glances like he's a lunatic, which he is. And then he caps the whole thing off. Let's take a little trip in our Wayback Machine, the beginning of the podcast. She ends her impassioned speech about how he shouldn't go to London to do his internship by saying, I choose us. And he ends this speech the exact way. He says, "I choose us." And let me tell you, if everything else had worked, if it had been like, you know what? This guy has an active imagination. He has a future for idea or a past idea of what we could have been. And it's a little bit romantic because he's got this wild off the wall concept of what our lives could have been like and what they could be like in the future. And he's telling me he loves me. And, you know, I did hang on to his stuff for this long. Maybe there's still something there. And if he ended it with the thing I tried to say to desperately keep him in the country in the exact same situation, I would go, "Oh, fuck him. Oh, yeah, no way. You're crazy."
It does kind of come off as manipulative, right?
Oh, yes.
Right?
And like he's been writing "I choose us" in a diary for the last 13 years.
right.
Like, it's nuts. Um but they do, you know, she decides to not get on the plane and have coffee with him. And I genuinely hope they have that one coffee. And she, like, you know, is like, "It's been great. I still do need to go."
Yeah.
So, and then she like backs away from him like she's put her in a hostage situation. Credits roll, no post credit scene. So
Not for this
that's
movie.
the end.
Unless they
No,
reveal
that's
that the little girl is getting a spin-off movie because she can,
she has the true sight.
she has the true sight.
Yeah, and she
Um
can see. She goes up to Jeremy Piven and she goes, "You're not really him, are you?" And he's like, "How did you know?" And she's like, "I'm here to help."
I'm yeah, I do like, so I want to say, like, I appreciate that the last thing we see is just them having a cup of coffee.
Yeah, they don't
Like,
kiss.
and it's they don't
They don't
kiss,
hug.
they don't hug, they don't he doesn't
There's
like
no applause.
no,
You
they
know.
just go and they sit down and I feel like it is maybe the most subtle thing in the movie where it's like,
Yeah.
huh, like
It is like a moment where they're like, well, if someone was going to do something ridiculous, this is
right.
probably the most they would concede. Um, yeah. Well, that does put us at the end of the movie, though. Did you like
Yeah.
it?
So, like I said at the top, I don't think this is a bad movie. I'm not really like this kind of a movie person, and quite frankly, if I'm pulling a vintage Cage
Hmm.
from my Criterion collections of Nicolas Cage movies, I'm not grabbing The Family Man. Um,
No.
but
How
it's not.
did you watch it?
How did I watch it? I
Yeah.
watched it online. I think I rented it
Oh,
from
you
Amazon.
rented it. Okay.
Mhm.
I do have a short story about that goes into my next and final segment here. I was trying to find a way to watch it. And what I eventually found was that the library in Chicago, where I live, did have a copy of it on DVD. And I decided to get that because I knew there would be special features on it.
Oh,
But
okay.
before we get into the special features, I do have to comment that the first way I tried to watch it was for free on an app on my Roku called Freebie TV. And we are not sponsored by Freebie TV, and that's because everyone in the world sponsors Freebie TV. I started a video on this app, Kyle, and it was the beginning of Family Man. It was the studio logo, and I was watching it, and I was like half distracted, and I was like, "Why is Donna from Parks and Recreation grocery shopping in the corner of this movie?" And the answer
Oh,
is, I watched 2 minutes of The Family Man, and this app runs ads in the like upper eighth of your screen the whole movie.
oh, that's fun.
So I will be using the library for all of these.
I think that's a good idea.
But I do have three things from the special features I just wanted to point out in case you didn't get to see them.
I did
One,
not, so I'm excited.
I watched the trailer.
Okay.
I will give you three guesses what popular uh, 80s post punk song is in this trailer about a man who wakes up and is married to someone he doesn't recognize.
80s post-punk.
Think new wave post-punk.
Is it a... Okay. I have a thought. Is it
Don't
like...
overthink it.
Is it Duran Duran?
It is not Duran Duran. It is a song about a man.
Oh my God! Is it
not.
"And the Days Go By"? What?
It is.
It's
It's a once in a lifetime by the Talking Heads.
Of course
where
it
goes,
is.
"This is not my beautiful wife." And first of all,
just right on the nose.
Yep,
Just
no
right on
subtlety there. The second thing I saw in the special features that was actually interesting, there were deleted scenes that sucked, so they were not worth. They were just nothing.
Did any of the deleted scenes give us answers to our Cheadle-verse questions?
The one deleted scene. So in the moment at the end of the movie where he drives back to New Jersey to see if she still lives in that house, which obviously she doesn't. They also deleted a scene.
Yeah.
Right. There's also a deleted scene where he goes back to find Jeremy Piven.
Oh no.
And Jeremy Piven doesn't know him, and he's like, "Oh, okay, that's all right." And it's like, I was like, that is legitimately kind of sad, but does also sort of pull focus away from the romance.
It does answer one of the questions. Does Jeremy Piven exist? He does.
Jeremy Piven does exist, but he doesn't know. He why would he know who Jack Campbell, who Nicolas Cage was?
And I guess he's cheated on his wife, and
probably, yeah. So the second section I saw that was interesting was recommendations. Apparently just a list of DVDs, other DVDs you could get from maybe the same like imprint or like the same like movie making studio. The list of recommendations, I want you to tell me if any one of these remind you of the movie The Family Man.
Okay.
Bowfinger.
No, not really. No.
Erin Brockovich.
Lawyer, lady lawyer. Taya Leoni is a lawyer.
Very thin.
Yeah.
Okay. Meet Joe Black.
You know what?
Body swap.
It is a body swap. It also has the scene where Brad Pitt speaks in a Jamaican accent,
which almost
I watch
as crazy.
Maybe once a month on YouTube.
Almost as crazy as anything Nick Cage ever does. So
yeah.
Okay. Meet the Parents.
Not really. Maybe
Notting Hill.
I feel like that so far is the closest one, and even then, it's like very not so much.
Parenthood.
Okay,
with Steve Martin. That one is probably
but Parenthood is kind of fun, and like this movie doesn't let itself be fun ever.
Hardly,
it's very it's very like I said, it's eerie.
It's eerie and it's occasionally kind of preachy. It's schmaltzy and romantic, but never like uniquely so. Two more on this list, and they're both gonna blow your hair back. Patch Adams.
No.
Like hard no, right? Almost as big a no as Erin Brockovich. And finally, the Bruce Willis movie, The Story of Us.
Okay, that right?
That's
I've
pretty
not
close.
seen that, but by the title alone, I imagine that's.
I think it's also like a retrospective on a relationship, but I think they wind up breaking up at the end. I think it's like a sort of bittersweet movie, but like truly, people were like, nothing is like The Family Man. These are just other DVDs that we make.
I would have put like Groundhog
There's not
Day,
even another.
Or
there's not even another Nick Cage movie on this list.
No, that's weird.
And then the last thing that drew my interest was, and you remember this from some DVDs, mostly ones that were aimed at kids. There was a game.
Huh?
There was a game called the Choose Your Fate game. Now, if you had to guess what the Choose Your Fate game was about, what would you say?
I'm flabbergasted that there's a game on this DVD to begin with.
what I thought it was going to be was like a little short story that was like a choose your own adventure book where you'd
That's
like
what I would
read a
assume it
little.
would be too. Yeah.
So this was the most blatantly obvious personality quiz that I've ever seen. So these were big. In case this is outside of other people's reference points, these sorts of games were really big when Kyle and I were high school and college age, where it'd be like, hey, take this little online quiz and find out what your Hogwarts house is, or take this little online quiz and find out what your daemon would be from the Golden Compass universe, or take this quiz and find out, what your true zodiac is. And
Who
they were
your starter
usually,
Pokemon should be. Yeah, it's all.
yeah, they were usually pretty obvious. Like, it would be like, what's your favorite color? Green, red, yellow, or blue? And it's like, well, thank you, you know, Hogwarts house quiz. I wonder which one I'll get depending on what I pick. None as obvious as this. I'm texting a photo to Kyle,
Okay.
and I'm going to let him react first.
All right. I just got it. Oh, okay. So what Cody has sent me is a photograph of what I assume is the menu of the Choose Your Fate game.
It's one of less than 10 questions in the
less than 10. Okay. Choose your fate. And it's a question. It says, the thing that creates the most warmth in my soul is A, hearing a child laugh. B, a jigger of single malt. Which are two so different things. Also, two options.
Just two. The first question had three options, and it was like something like, how do you want to spend the holidays? And it was like, with family or with my loved one or alone. And I was like, okay, this is pretty, it's one of those things really obvious. All the other questions were two questions, and every time it was like, here's the answer someone who is a family man would want to answer. And here's the answer Patrick Bateman would say. Every question was like that. I was like, this is the dumbest.
I guess it's cool that they did this at all, but was there really nothing else that they could put on this DVD?
But can you imagine like the DVDs I can think of that had like little games or quizzes on them were like Shrek and truly like kids geared movies.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine being like a kid who just got done watching The Family Man with their parents, who is like scrambling for the remote for like, there's got to be more Family Man stuff I can do on this DVD. There were also, I was not about to put this disc into my computer. I don't even think I have a disc drive on my computer. There were DVD-ROM features.
Oh,
I don't even know what that might have meant. Well, and again, that's for people who maybe are too young or don't know about this stuff. DVD-ROM was like a special feature thing where if you put this disc in a computer, it's going to unlock like extra computer programs, and they were usually kitschy and silly
wallpapers and like,
yeah. So I wonder if I could have gotten that Choose Your Fate wallpaper for my computer that shows Nick Cage, Family Man, and evil Nick Cage staring at each other as my wallpaper background.
Okay.
If I just committed.
The DVD-ROM features are
okay.
Wallpapers, screensaver. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm not just reading AI bullshit. Yeah, it looks like it has wallpapers. And okay, here we go. Cool. DVD-ROM owners can check out a few additional pieces of material. Many of the pieces duplicate materials seen on the standard part of the disc. There are some unique extras, though. A script to screen comparison lets you view the film on the left-hand side of the page, while the script appears on the right.
Oh, I could try to prove my theory that Nick Cage just started saying whack shit during the movie and they put it in. Yeah.
Downloads lets you get screensavers and wallpaper based off the movie. Making the Family Man adds some new text, such as biographies of additional cast and filmmakers, and it provides links to the Universal DVD newsletter, etc., etc. It So yeah, you could have watched, I guess, the script to screen version.
To
If
remember
had you
that.
done that, but
Have to buy a disc drive to do that, but I'll have
yeah,
to remember that. Okay.
yeah.
Well, that wraps up The Family Man. I gave it 2.5 stars out of 5. I think that's more than fair.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, like I said, there were things where I was like, "Oh, this is a neat idea," but then like it's treated, it almost like I'm trying to like articulate what I'm thinking here.
do you know
It's
what it
interesting.
reminded me of?
What did it remind you of?
AI.
Oh, like the Spielberg.
Yeah, it reminded me of a movie that was made by more than one person.
There are yeah, I feel like there are moments where this movie is I think it's kind of a good time. And I think it does kind of, but the problem is what it wants to do is be like
Is
two different
nonsense.
movies.
Yeah.
Um
The big problem I think that I have with it is if they wanted it to feel romantic, which is like column A, there were all these choices they made that made the movie not very romantic. If they wanted it to be like a lesson, which is column B, there were all these choices that made the lesson feel bizarre and crazy. And if they wanted column C, that it's like a Christmassy movie, they made all these decisions that it was not very much like holiday forward either. So it's like, if you were collecting
yeah,
apples,
he's not there for Christmas.
right? It's a holiday movie that pitches itself as such, including a poster that I found that you can buy online for some reason that is of Nick Cage, the businessman, looking into like a big window, like he's a Dickensian orphan looking into someone's house on Christmas. But the window is just the family portrait of him and the other family, which also paints a bizarre idea of like the psychology of this movie where it's like,
Well, that
is
implies
he
that he's wistful and wants that, and that's not what the movie is at all.
he has exactly one wistful moment, which is right before he, in my imagination, gets hit by a
Get
truck
hit by a
and
truck.
isekai'd to this, which is how they should have done it,
He
which
wakes up
does
in
mean you
feudal
cut Don
Japan.
Cheadle.
He's got to return the Shikon jewel shards to the
He's I'm 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 from the future in feudal Japan and I'm married to my college ex-girlfriend.
um
On that
that
note,
that does make me think, who would Nicolas Cage play in the Inuyasha movie?
all of them.
Probably everybody. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's my
he'd be like
that's my
the
art.
clumps.
That's my art nouveau idea for the Inuyasha movie, is everyone's played by Nicolas Cage.
I'm gonna make a really bizarre 15-hour Inuyasha movie where Nicolas Cage is everyone.
And all the effects are practical.
Well, that
Yeah.
should be that
Yeah,
for
that
today,
we
I
can.
think.
How about, that's a good place, right? Think about
Yeah,
who
that
Nicolas
makes a
Cage
whole
would
lot of
play.
sense.
Yeah.
So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Again, I'm probably gonna uh, probably not going to run this long in the future, but I did want to make sure we set the tone a little bit here, and appreciate everyone tuning in. If you love Nicolas Cage movies, please be sure to follow us. I am on Instagram at Caged Men Pod. You can find Caged Men Podcast on YouTube. And if you want to send me a note or a comment, or you just want to say hi, or if you want to ask me how far in the future a certain Nick Cage movie will be featured, you can send an email to cagedmenpod@gmail.com. Kyle, do you want to take us out with something that you want to plug, or anything people should check out about you?
Currently right now, you should check out Caged Men Pod, obviously, but also I stream on Twitch 4 times a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. At my Twitch handle is Archlich Archive. I'm a little cartoon skeleton. It's a good time. But other than that, thank you so much for letting me go on this journey with you. I'm excited to be back. Is this a good place for me to make a request to come back?
Oh yeah, sure. For now, you're paroled. But if recidivism hits you like it does all prisoners, then what is the movie you would most like to rejoin us on?
I am very excited to hear your take on what I consider to be a modern day Nicolas Cage classic, Drive Angry.
Oh, okay.
I feel like based on how you're organizing this, that might be a while from now, because not everyone feels like I feel about Drive Angry.
You'd be shocked to find out that we might be having you back sooner than you think.
Excellent.
So maybe we'll see. Maybe that'll be it. Maybe you'll have Kyle back on soon enough. But I will thank everyone once again. Signing off here. Remember, why? I'm not going to say that. I was going to close by saying, "Why are you staring at my breasts, Peter?" But I'm just going to.
I'll say that. Remember, why are you staring at my breasts, Peter?
Okay. Thank you for listening. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Have a wonderful time. We'll see you in 2 weeks.